Okay, well, we've done a sand my Damascus, but let's flip-flop it. Let's do a Damascus sand my. So I think I'm going to take some 15 and 20 and some 1095 and cut them up and make a billet out of it. I don't know how many layers yet. We'll just figure it out as we go. But I think I'm going to make some Damascus. And then once I've got the Damascus made, I think I'm going to use a 1084 core. I got my billet welded up. We're going to stick it in the forge. I ended up with 13 layers, 1095 and 15 and 20. I soaked it in some kerosene. I'm not going to put any flux on it. I know you guys seen that before. But let's get it ready for a forge weld. I got my 13 layer billet cut, cleaned up, restacked 5 layers high, which will make 65 layers. I got my 65 layer billet cleaned up, cut up. I also got some 1084 cut up and some 15 and 20. So here's what I'm going with. Here's my 65 layer billet that I made, these two outside pieces on either side. So there's 65, 130 layers on each side. Then I've got a piece of 15 and 20 on either side, and 4 pieces of 1084 in the center. So when I forge weld all this together, the 4 pieces of 1084 will be 1 layer. Then the 15 and 20 on either side will be a layer that looks bright and shiny, and then the 130 layers of Damascus on either side. I think it'll look pretty good. Let's get it welded up. You guys just saw me put my billet in the kerosene. That's an advantage to using the kerosene. One is I made my billet. I'm not going to do it till in the morning. It'll be fine in there. I've actually had many billets soaking in there at the same time, and leave them in there for a week or two. Pull them out, throw them in the forge, ready to go. It's not like the kerosene soaks into the steel. It's just submerged. No air can get to it. No oxidation. So as long as my billet's submerged in the kerosene, it can stay in there indefinitely. See you guys in the morning. Here's my billet. I just took it out of the kerosene. So we're going to stick it in the forge. I'm going to make a big oversized chef's knife out of this. Lunchtime, I'm starving. Lunch is over. Back to work. So I got the massive chef's knife forged out. It's hard to believe it started as a 3-inch long, 1.5 inch wide billet, probably around 1 inch thick, and I forged this massive 12-inch chef's knife, overall length like 16 3/4 inches, 16 3/4 inches, 2 3/4 inch width. Feels good, it's just huge, but it's for a big guy. So let's get to grinding. Okay, I've got the knife rough ground and I put some market fluid on the edge. I'm going to use my little scribe tool and we'll mark the center. And down both sides. And I hope you guys can see it. Marked really good right down the center. Needs a little bit more right here. Oh yeah, that's better. That's better. Alright, I got it locked in my filing vise. I'm going to establish my bevels. So there's a lot of hammer marks still in this. That's fine. They'll come out in the finish grind, or they'll come out when I'm filing. So I marked my edge. I got me a light here where I can look and I can see that line plain as day. I'm going to file it down almost to that because I haven't heat treated it yet. So I want my blade to be, you know, a 1/16 to 3/32 of an inch thick on the edge, at least. It's a big blade and I think it might do some warping. But this is how filing the bevels go. So I've got my angle up pretty steep right now, and as I get down close to the line, I'll lower it down and work my bevels up the side. So basically you see how it works. I'll be here for another hour or two and I won't put you through that. I got the big chef's knife rough ground, got my bevels established, got my holes in for the handle. It's ready for my touch mark and heat treat. Alright, heat treat's done. It's still just a little bit warm, not bad. There's the knife. Got my touch mark on it. It's hard, it's straight, ready to temper out in the oven. So I will do 2 cycles of 400 degrees in the oven in the house. So I'll turn the oven on, I'll bring it up to 400, I'll put the blade in there on a rack. I will cook it for an hour, and then I will turn it off and let it cool down in the oven. And then I will bring the oven back up to heat, and I will put it back in there either for an hour or an hour and a half on the second one. But we're going to do 2 tempering cycles on this big beast of a blade. We're back on the huge chef's knife. So I ran 2 temper cycles in the oven, 400 degrees, an hour apiece. That was my temper. And where I file checked it after I hardened it, I can actually see that perfect straw color on the edge. So I'm happy with the temper. We're straight as a string. So now it's up to just finish grinding and getting it ready for hand sanding. I don't want to bore you with video and all this grinding. You've seen it before. I'm going to finish a knife, turn on some music, and rock it out. It always amazes me how much I get done when I'm rocking out. But unfortunately, my camera, my radio, my phone, all one thing now. Anyway, so here's the blade. It's pretty close. It's finished ground up to 120. I'll be hand sanding it probably from here out. I normally go to 220, but I think this will be fine right here. But I've already started my handle. So my handle, I'm going to make some pecky hickory. You can see there, that's going to look nice, especially with this Damascus. And remember, this is a 1084 core, so it'll show. I'm ready to see it. But I always run into a problem. So when I make my handles, I just do everything by eyeball. But a lot of times when I make my handles and I squeeze them together so I can take them to the grinder, because I like to grind as much as I can before I ever mount them on a knife, I have a hard time seeing the center line. And when you're doing everything by eyeball, you need to know where the center is so you can guess equal distances on either side. So here's a trick I come up with the other day. I just get a piece of paper, different color, I punch holes in it, I take my handle material, I put it on there, I squeeze it down, my pins where they're in there flat, I take and tear it off. Right? So now I can see that center line. I'll hit it with a razor blade, scrape it, hit it with a razor blade and just scrape it like that, get it down flush. That way I'm not losing anything. But you can see, I can see that center line now. So let's go shape a handle. Alright, I got my handle shape roughed in, but you can see how it's real easy for me to see that blue line. Right, real easy. I just had blue, it's what I used. But now I'm going to mount this on my blade, file it in, finish the shape that I want, round everything off nice. Kind of a big handle already, but it's a big man it's being made for. We're back on the big chef's knife. I've got hours of hand sanding to do. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. My back feels pretty good this morning, so we'll see how long it'll last. I'll show you. So you can see up here, get the light reflecting off of it. Still more to go. So this is getting close to what I want it to look like, but you can see, I think you can see a few scratches right there. And as they come up, they're worse. See them right there. So we're gonna get it all hand, and we'll be back. Here's the blade, polished up to 1000 grit. So I'm going to clean it off with some acetone, and I'm going to put it in the etch for about 10 minutes, and we'll have a look at it. All right, it's been about 8 minutes. I want to look at it, so let's have a look at it. Neutralize it with some ammonia. I use Windex with ammonia. Whoa. Boy, it looks good. So this is 1000 grit paper. I don't really have to worry about it like scratching because it's fine enough. We're going to get it cleaned up again. We're going to get it back in the etch. But boy, you can really start to see it. You get all these oxides off of it. I want to get kind of a deeper etch. All this is going to show the etch. What? A lot of layers. So can you see what it's starting to look like? Like I said, we're going to get all these oxides off. We're going to get it back in for a second etch. Alright. Back into the etch. So here we are, 2 8-minute etch cycles, and this is what the blade looks like now. So I've sanded it again, got all the oxides off of it. Now I'm going to put it in coffee. Okay, so the coffee I'm using is Nescafe Classico. It's the stuff to use. I've used a lot of different ones. This stuff works the best. I don't know why. I wouldn't drink it, but it's great for putting some blackness into that carbon steel. So we'll let it set in there, 30 minutes, check on it. We'll probably end up going 2 hours, but we'll just check on it and see how long it takes. So I had it in the coffee etch for 2 hours. I pulled it out. I wasn't happy with how it was taking the color, so I repolished everything with 1000 grit, put it back in the coffee, and I left it overnight. There's the blade. Turned out really nice. Lots of layers in there. That 15 and 20 is a good dividing spot from the Damascus to the hardened edge. So it turned out really nice. I took this blade when I pulled it out and I gently rinsed it off without rubbing it at all. And then I took a torch and I heated the blade and I applied a 50-50 mix of beeswax and mineral oil. So I just make this stuff 50-50 by weight of beeswax and mineral oil. I like that ratio pretty good. It's soft and yet it still has a little bit of a smell like honey. So I put that on the blade. I heat it not very hot, just enough to melt it in, and then I let it set, wipe it. I just use a paper towel. I wipe it, and you notice nothing comes off on the paper towel. That blade is, the color's set in there now, and it will patina more, and over time it will wear, but this is how I finish my blades. Alright, I got the Damascus sand my knife finished. Unfortunately, after thinking about it, it's not Damascus sand my. It would be Damascus go my, because I put the layer of 15 and 20 between the Damascus and the 1084 core. So it would be a Damascus go my. But here it is, Pecky hickory handle, got copper pins filled with black resin, and here is the blade. At 1084 come out really black on the cutting edge, all hardenable, everything in here. You can see the 15 and 20 solid layer in between the dark black 1084 and the Damascus. But it's a big knife. I think it's going to make a really strong, long-lasting kitchen knife. So let's have another look at it and get it sharpened up and sent on its way.